All right, questions from the audience. Over here. And again, just say your name and if you're with an organization.
Thank you. Abay Katoch, formerly Liberal Party of Canada, now Federation of American Scientists. We've seen a lot of proposals from Representatives Ted Lieu, Bill Foster, regarding federal legislation on AI. And then we've also seen the Trump administration try and push preemption of state AI laws in things like the NDAA and other sort of bills as well. I'm curious what you think whether federal legislation on AI exists. Your opinion on state preemption of AI laws. Do you think that might be a good thing, bad thing?
You mean whether it exists right now?
Should we preempt?
Yeah,
or should it be possible for the federal government to preempt state laws? Is that what you're asking?
In the event that federal legislation on AI laws exists, like Ted Lieu's proposal, do you think we should preempt?
I think generally, if you have a federal law that really, really strongly addresses issues, I think the states should follow those laws. Right now, we don't have that. And I think it's up to the states to be able to protect their citizens in those states, state legislatures and the governor, when they see that there's a problem, it's not only their right, it's their responsibility to be able to protect their citizens from bad stuff happening to them. Think about, the problems we have right now. I sit on I'm on the Armed Services Committee, the Intelligence Committee, the Environment and Public Works Committee. I'm also on the Special Committee on Aging. And the amount of scams against seniors, it is depressing. And it's shocking at how many billions of dollars folks often on a fixed income are losing to scams. This is going to get worse with AI unless we're able to take, responsible and strong steps to combat this. And if the federal government isn't on board, the federal government's often, way behind, right? Takes so long to get things through Congress, especially the Senate. I was at NASA for 15 years. If NASA had the rules of the U.S. Senate, the rocket ship would never leave the launch pad. So in the absence of the federal legislation, I think it's appropriate for states to be able to do this.
Question over here.
Hi, I'm Catherine Cheney. I work with DevX, and we're a media company focused on global development, which it's been a tough year for that sector, as you can imagine. My question is, I know you're focused on AI for America, but I think a lot of what you're saying resonates thinking about AI globally. So I think about the African continent, for example, where the US has a much decreased presence this year. And in the absence of the US presence there, there's a lot of AI infrastructure going in. Others are kind of setting the terms in terms of AI values. You mentioned China, for example. So I wonder if you have a thought on the US's role in AI globally, including in places like Africa, or is that just kind of a pick your battles moment right now and we're focusing on AI in America?
No, I think we not only do we, have a role, we should be taking steps to making sure that the standards of this industry are based on our standards and our values. And if we completely abandon places like Africa, which, by the way, is the only place in the world right now that has, positive growth in the number of people, we're going to be left behind. And the Chinese are very willing to try to compete with us in Africa and other places, and cutting programs that brought us such goodwill, like food assistance for starving countries and things like PEPFAR, helping, countries deal with HIV and AIDS. Those were, really powerful and beneficial programs, not just to those African nations, but to us. And abandoning those programs, it just, knocks us back a couple notches in leadership in the world. So we got to right that ship. At the same time, we need to partner with other nations. So we're the ones that build the framework for how this industry is going to exist across the globe, because if we don't do it, we know who is. And that's not going to be beneficial to us.
Do we have an online question?
Yes, this one is from Jim online. Senator, as a military man, do you see a threat to from AI to world peace by giving the world's military so much power? And how would you think about that?
Well, AI, I mean, we could have a whole nother one of these. We could do a couple hours on how AI is going to integrate into the military. It already is. And we've got some, ethical, moral things to figure out, rules of engagement. By the way, again, back to the Secretary of Defense who wants to throw out rules of engagement. Doesn't seem to care so much about the rule of law. This gets more complicated when you start integrating artificial intelligence systems into weapon systems, into the kill chain. We're seeing some of this in Ukraine already, where the battlefield innovation is on steroids, and the innovation cycle is happening very quickly, especially with regards to FPV, first-person view drones. You're going to see artificial intelligence being integrated into those systems here very soon. Our going-in proposition in this, and I really believe this, that we do not want essentially robots, artificial intelligence to be making the decision to kill people, and then all the way through the kill chain to the time the weapon is launched, to the time it hits the target, there's no human in the loop. That's not the direction I think we should go. There will be some resistance to that, especially as our adversaries build those kind of systems. And they could even decide to put this into the National Command Authority for their nuclear weapons and start going down that route. That causes me tremendous amount of concern. The Russians used to actually have a system that wasn't AI. I mean, it was way before AI, but it was basically a dead man switch that if the communication stopped between the silo and the National Command Authority, the ICBMs would launch against us. Now they've disabled it. It doesn't exist anymore as far as we know. But that did exist during the height of the Cold War. We don't.
Have they not seen movies about how this could go really badly wrong?
They apparently not. That could have gone really bad
Yeah.
at some time. And we've been, the whole nuclear proliferation and the risk of miscalculation with nuclear weapons is a big deal for me, and it's something we're also trying to, address. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie A House of Dynamite on Netflix. It's a good movie to watch. It's got a couple, technical issues in it, but it sends a really strong and powerful message I think all of Americans should see.
Excellent. Question over here? I think we have time for one more question. Oh, we'll take two. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Roger Cochetti, and I am author and retired business executive for ComSat, IBM, and technology companies. Because you're one of those rare people who has an expertise at the intersection of technology, national security, and public policy, my question lies at the intersection of those three. Everyone recognizes that electric power is a key obstacle to the growth of data centers. And there's lots of different ideas thrown out, but I'd like to ask about one that you might be able to explain, and that is, we've had small nuclear reactors virtually for my entire life. They're put on submarines that, house people right next door to them. Why is it not feasible to simply tell whoever manufactures the nuclear power plants for submarines, give us another 300 of those and we'll put one at each data center, and boom, the problem is solved. If it can power a nuclear submarine, why can't it power a data center? And I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but if you could explain that or your own views on that, it would be helpful. Thank you.
I would say for the reactors that we actually have on submarines and aircraft carriers, that design, I think it's rather crew intensive, and you need a lot of folks monitoring it. We have these small modular reactors that are also nuclear reactors that use different kinds of technology that require fewer people, that are safer, that are in a lot of ways perfect for this application. There are two, right, Julian? There's two that are licensed. in the U.S., 2 SMRs that are currently licensed in the U.S., and I think you're going to start seeing this. We need to get other designs licensed. There are companies out there that have, other ways to do this. There are some operational SMRs, not in the United States. I think maybe in Canada there's one, in China. China, Russia have some. We're going to see them here. And then you can put the power behind the meter. Doesn't even affect the grid or the demand. One problem we do have in getting more of these licensed is, getting them through the process at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. They're understaffed. I don't know how much they were doged here, but they have been understaffed, and they have to often make decisions. Do we want to do the permitting process for the big, giant, huge megawatts, something like Palo Verde or like a nuclear power plant, or do we focus on the SMRs? I've been trying to get them to do both, because I think we do need both.
We have another online question.
This is from Bill online. Senator, he asked, the United States is suffering a brain drain of scientists and researchers at universities because of the Trump administration's proposed cuts in fundings for NIH and NSF. How can Congress protect the next generation of young scientists from these reductions in funding for basic science?
Well, we can just, tell Donald Trump he's not getting his budget that he wants. How ridiculous. I think this president thinks that we have the world's largest economy ever because of real estate developers. It's not. It's because of science.
Yeah.
It's because we invest in fundamental science, and it's really only in the United States that we do this at this level where we just don't invent things. We invent industries, like out of thin air. We've done it throughout the history of our country so much better than anybody else, and that's why we are the wealthiest country in the world. And he basically just turned off the spigot. A 25% cut to NASA's budget and cuts to NSF and university research. He's done a lot of really dumb things. I'd put this in the top 10 because these investments, you get the money back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might take you 5 or 10 years, but you get it all back. We should, if anything, we should be investing more money, not less, in science and scientific research and university research. So, question was, what can we do? Well, we could ignore the president. It's our job, Article 1 branch of government, to ultimately create the budget, without his priorities in it. I think we should do that, especially on this, on other things as well. And then he'll have to make a decision whether or not he signs it.
Can I just do a quick follow-up on that? In the past, Republicans and Democrats have led on research issues. It has, in fact, been a very bipartisan issue. In the 90s, it was lots of Republicans pushing for increases in NIH budget. Democrats and Republicans have pushed for it. As a leader on this issue, where are Republicans on this? You could ask that on every issue.
I don't know. Maybe they feel like if they say, we don't support your cuts to science, the president will respond with, I'll execute you.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I said follow the law. He said hang them. Mm-hmm. They're afraid of him.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Lisa Murkowski, as an example, spoke out, recently about the issue. But when you have a president that is threatening members of Congress with their lives, it's hard for most of them to stand up to the guy and say, I don't like your thing. Mm-hmm. This is the wrong approach. Mm-hmm. He might not literally say what he said to us as Democrats, but I'll tell you what he will do, and he's done this already. He said, I will make sure you're not reelected. Mm-hmm. He will aggressively come after their job. He'll come after stuff in their districts or their states. He has shown a pattern of retribution unlike any other president we've ever had. And he has stepped over a line that should never be crossed.
I guess I just ask when this Congress has less power because of the president, when the Congress has less appropriating power, when it's voting less, it doesn't. What is the point of the job for the Republican senators who are just like, I will just ignore the Constitution because of a primary threat?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of the job for us,
Yeah.
Even rises to like even a heightened level to try to, push back and make sure and hold them accountable. And I'm going to continue to do that. For them, it gets like less significant because they're just going to, follow along like sheep.
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing. So I don't know. That's a question you got to ask them.
Yeah. Well, when they come in the Path Forward series, I definitely
They
will
come
do
here
that. Our last question right here. Sorry, we're just wait for the thing. Just
sure.
Because the cameras.
Eddie Ayub at Barnes & Thornburg. No affiliation, just part of my firm's AI working group because of this future. And Senator, I was going to say, when I saw you yesterday, I did not know I was going to be here, or else I would have asked this question. You mentioned guardrails and operating within our values and ethics. How do you enforce that? And then, because we're living in such a multinational, global economy, you're going to have these companies operating both in the United States and outside the United States. So do you envision a mechanism where if you follow the rules in the United States, you have to follow the rules elsewhere? There's a lot of companies who operate in democracies and a lot of companies who operate in not democracies, not even whether our allies or otherwise. So how do you enforce that? And then how do you deal with this transnational issue of multiple jurisdictions and multiple legalities and legal systems and what have you?
Well, I think if we stay the leader in this technology and all the best chips are made here and we share some of these chips with our allies, we shouldn't share them with their adversaries like China. I don't think that's a good idea. But if we make if we create the rules, maybe we can get our allies to work within the system that we have and we've created. I think we'll have leverage there. I hope we do. But that's a really good question, Eddie, and I think it's something that I'm going to talk to my folks about. Maybe as we expand this, plan here, which I have right in here, as we expand this plan, we will, have to incorporate new ideas. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Kelly. I really appreciate this really robust conversation. It does tell us how much interest there is in AI. And I want to say again how thankful we are for you sharing thoughts and really leadership on these issues before they, create a lot more harms. And that you're absolutely right that we can avoid a lot of the pitfalls if we actually show leadership now. That might not come from the White House for a few years, but hopefully it will eventually come. And I just, again, want to finally say how grateful we are for you, really standing up for the Constitution and, the separation of powers and actually just what it means to be an American. So thank you.
Thank you.